For the past 20 years, pretty much everyone has been telling the wrong story about Amazon. We all see it as this massive online store, right? But what if that's just the cover story? Today, we're going to dig into this really powerful analysis that suggests Amazon isn't just a store. It's building the automated backbone for all physical commerce.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about the story that everyone thinks they know. Then, we'll get into the absolutely wild 2-decade bet that made them look crazy. We'll also look at the massive problem that came with it. And then, this is where it gets good, we'll see how the robot revolution changes the entire game, creates this unbeatable moat, and reveals Amazon's true and frankly mind-blowing endgame.
All right, let's dive right in with Section 1, the wrong story. For 20 years, seriously, the entire market has been distracted by all the shiny objects, right? Retail profits, how many Prime members they have, the insane growth of AWS. But here's the thing, while we were all staring at the storefront, we completely missed the masterpiece they were secretly building out back. And this single sentence, man, it just changes everything. Wall Street has been analyzing Amazon wrong for 20 years. Think about that. It's basically saying that for 2 whole decades, the smartest folks in the room were looking in the complete wrong direction. The real story wasn't about what Amazon was selling, it was about the pipes, the infrastructure they were laying to deliver it all.
So that brings us to this massive 2-decade bet. I mean, while the rest of Silicon Valley was chasing these clean, high-margin software businesses, Amazon did the exact opposite. They just dove headfirst into the messy, complicated, and brutally low-margin world of global logistics. And honestly, it wasn't just a risky bet. To most people, it looked completely insane.
And when we talk about scale, it's just staggering. Seriously, look at this. We're not talking about a couple of warehouses. We're talking about a privately owned physical network that stretches across the entire globe. They built their own airline, Amazon Air, a fleet of thousands of delivery vans, an actual army of people. They built something no sane company would ever touch because the costs were just astronomical and the profits were razor thin. But it turns out that was the whole point. So, you gotta ask, why were the margins so incredibly thin? Well, that brings us to the human cost problem. For 20 years, there has been one single thing weighing down Amazon's profits like a giant anchor: the insane cost of all the human labor needed to make this giant machine actually, work. I mean, just think about the journey of one single package. A person has to receive it, someone else stocks it on a shelf, then another person has to go and pick it for your order, then it gets packed, loaded onto a truck, and finally driven to your door. You see it here, right? Almost every single step in this process adds more human cost, more complexity. And that cost? Oh, it adds up fast. We're talking, on average, $40,000 a year for a single worker. And that's before you even factor in benefits, training, and the huge costs of turnover. Now try multiplying that by a workforce of over 1 million people. You start to see the problem, the real bottleneck. This massive human expense looked like the plan's greatest weakness. But what if? What if it was only temporary?
And right here, this is where the whole story pivots. Welcome to the robot revolution. There's this new wave of really sophisticated robotics, what the source calls embodied AI. And it is about to completely flip the economics of Amazon's entire operation on its head.
So what exactly is embodied AI? Okay, so don't think of some dumb, repetitive factory arm. Think of a robot that can actually see, think, and interact with the messy, chaotic real world. We're talking about a robot that can reach into a bin of random stuff and pick out the exact item it needs, no matter the shape or size. This technology is the key that unlocks all the value that's been hiding inside Amazon's giant physical network this whole time.
And this one sentence, man, this is the core of the whole thesis. Amazon built massive, low-margin infrastructure that becomes obscenely profitable the moment you replace expensive humans with cheap robots. The very thing that made Amazon's business look so unappealing, its reliance on all these expensive people, is about to become its single greatest strength. The infrastructure is already there. All they have to do now is swap out the workers.
The economic shift we're talking about here is, well, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Look, on one side, you've got a human worker. You've got an annual salary, benefits, sick days, physical limits. On the other side, you have a robot. It's a one-time upfront cost, and then it works 24/7, 365. It never gets tired, and it actually gets smarter with every software update. All of a sudden, the cost of labor doesn't just get a little smaller. it plummets towards zero.
Now, this strategic pivot, it does more than just boost profits. It creates what you might call an unbeatable competitive moat. It basically puts any potential competitor into a classic catch-22. It's an impossible strategic trap, and there's just no way out.
Okay, so here's the impossible choice that any competitor faces. Path A, you could spend billions right now building a network powered by people, but you'd be doing it right before that entire model becomes obsolete. That's financial suicide. Okay, so path B, you wait for the robots to get good enough. But by then, you're already 2 decades behind Amazon's real estate, their data, their customer loyalty. Game over. And path C? Well, there is no path C. It's checkmate.
And all of this leads us to the real end game. Look, this isn't just about Amazon creating another super profitable division like AWS. No, this is about them fundamentally rewriting the economic rules for all of physical commerce, for everyone.
So the big question is, why is this a bigger deal than AWS? Well, think about it. AWS let other companies rent digital infrastructure, servers, storage, computing power. This new phase? This is about Amazon owning the physical infrastructure of global commerce and running it at a cost that is literally impossible for anyone else to even approach, let alone match.
So we're not just talking about a small improvement here, like slightly better margins or faster shipping. No way. This is a permanent structural advantage. Amazon is going to be able to offer a service that is so cheap and so efficient that it's physically and economically impossible for anyone else to replicate. It's not a competition anymore. It becomes a fundamental barrier to entry.
And this is what brings it all back to the market, and why that first quote is so important. According to this analysis, investors are still pricing Amazon based on today's world, a world of high labor costs, wage inflation, all of that. What they are not pricing in is a future where Amazon's single biggest expense doesn't just stop growing, but actually starts to decrease every single year as this automation scales up. So, I'll leave you with this final, really provocative thought. For years, we thought the big story was software eating the world. But what if the real story is AI animating the world? The fusion of artificial intelligence with a physical network built on a planetary scale, well, it could reshape our society in ways we can't even begin to imagine. And for the last 20 years, Amazon has been building it right under our noses.